Hey, what's going on? I'd like to welcome you all to Word of Your Soil. Listen, I have a great video for you all today. As you can see in the thumbnail and the title, this video is going to be about how to use a credit card correctly without getting credit card debt. Now, it's kind of weird because I had this channel for over a year now and I haven't done a video on how to use a credit card yet. So this is gonna be that video. So you all will want to check this video out so that way you can also know how to use a credit card the correct way without getting credit card debt as well. All right, let's get right into it. One thing about YouTube is I never want to make the assumption that everyone who is watching my channel knows about credit and credit cards and how credit cards work. You know, it's easy to get caught in that trap of believing that everyone knows about credit cards and how credit cards work and how credit scoring works. And getting caught in that trap will have me making material and content that may not be suited for everyone. You know, I always like to zoom back to the basics and the beginning stages of things so that more people can know how credit works and how credit cards work and credit scoring and things of that nature. So this video right here is going to be about how to use credit cards. And not only is it going to be about how to use credit cards, it's also going to be about how to use credit cards the correct way. Because based on the credit card debt numbers right now, a lot of people don't know how to use credit cards the correct way. And if they do, you know, it's kind of unfortunate because they're not following what they know. But what I want to talk about first is how I first started my credit journey. And I started off with secured credit cards. I had two. I had a Discover It secured credit card and I had a Bank of America secured credit card. The first secured credit card that I had was the Discover one. And what I learned throughout that time of having the Discover card, of course it graduated eventually, but what I learned throughout the time of having the Discover It secured credit card was it is very important to know how to manage a credit card. And carrying balances is not the proper way to use a credit card. Now, there are some people who look at credit cards as their money. The number one rule that I always tell people when it comes to these credit cards is that it's not your money. So that's the number one thing. The first thing that you want to understand about credit cards is that the money that's on your credit limit is not your money. It's basically, let's say you have a friend, right? And your friend has $1,000 and you want 100 of that $1,000. So your friend says, okay, here, I'll loan you $100. So your friend loans you $100. They tell you that they want that $100 back next month. Depending on your character and integrity, you know in your mind that you have to pay your friend back their $100 by next month. And if you're a good friend, you're going to get them that $100 back. Well, the same thing goes with these credit card companies and these credit cards. Basically, they're giving you a month loan, you know, so whatever your credit limit is, they say, here, you could spend a percentage of it, or some of them will prefer you to spend all of it. So they'll say, here, you could spend a percentage of this credit limit that we're going to loan you, and we want you to pay us back. Now, what's different from credit card companies and your friend is the credit card companies, they don't want you to pay them back immediately the next month. They want you to pay a small percentage back, which is your monthly minimum payment that's due. They want you to pay that back, but they would prefer you to carry over balances. And why? The reason why they prefer you to carry over balances is because they get paid interest. That APR that they have and that they give you when you first get approved for a credit card, that's what kicks in and comes into play when you carry over balances. So there is a way to avoid APR. So the way that you avoid APR is simply by paying back whatever you spend the next month. So let's say you go out, you have $1,000 credit limit, right? And you go out and you spend $300 of that $1,000, right? So you're gonna pay back the full $300. The credit card company, they might send you a statement, and the statement might say, oh, the minimum amount due is $35. It could be any number, but they might say the minimum amount due on this payment is $35. So they're expecting you to pay that $35. Kind of encouraging you to carry over a balance, but you don't want to pay that $35. What you want to pay is the full $300 that you spent. So that's the second rule. Whatever you spend, you're going to pay back. A lot of people will have an issue with this, and they'll try to come and argue me down. But the rule is pay back whatever you spend and pay it back the next month. Okay, so whatever you spend, whether it's $500, $600, $1,000, $2,000, depending on how much your credit limit is, whatever it is, pay that money back the next month. Now, that will help you avoid credit card debt. Now, we could get deeper and further into it. Your income has a lot to do with this because, a lot of times people will try to overspend when they see a credit card. Like their eyes will light up. They see that credit card limit, and it goes back to the first statement that I made about credit card credit limits are not your money. So they'll see, oh, I got a credit limit for $1,000, and their eyes will just light up like, wow, $1,000. I just got a $1,000 loan, but in reality, you didn't. You can't look at credit cards the same way you would look at a personal loan. So you have to be very careful with credit limits and credit cards. You don't look at them the same way as a personal loan. It is not wise to go out and just blow a $10,000 credit limit and go make a purchase for $10,000. And the reason why is the third thing that I'm listing, and that's your utilization. So what is utilization? Utilization is the percentage of the credit limit that you use, So let's say you have a credit limit for $10,000, right? Your utilization is going to be the percentage of that $10,000 that you use. So let's say you have a $10,000 credit limit and you go out and you spend $1,000 in 1 month, right? So that's going to mean that your utilization is 10% because you spent 10% of that $10,000. $1,000 would be 10% of $10,000. And whatever percentage you use is going to go towards your utilization. That's what your utilization is going to be. Now, the rule of thumb, the way how I teach people over here at Water Your Soil and my subscribers, by the way, you should be a subscriber if you're not. But what I teach my subscribers is you want to keep your utilization below 10%. So that means if you have a credit limit of $500, whenever the end of your statement is, you want to make sure you have less than 10% owed for that $500. So that means you want it to show that you have spent $50 or less, and that will keep you at a utilization under 10%. And you don't want to go above 10%. In fact, the lower you can have your utilization, the better. So let's say your utilization is 5% or 4% or 3%. The lower, the better. Now, there's a big argument on YouTube and in forums and all over the internet between people who say you should have some form of utilization and a utilization of 0%. I am the person who believes that you should have some form of utilization. So 1% is good. I'm not really a fan of 0% utilization. I believe that you should spend something and you should show that you spent something and that you are able to pay off something, and having a 0% utilization really doesn't show much usage at all. I know some people get into I make multiple payments per month and that's how it works. But if you're new to credit cards, I do not encourage you making multiple payments on a credit card account per month. I don't. I want you to keep it simple. That means you're gonna make one payment per month on your credit card account, and that's before your bill is due. So whatever your due date is, try to pay at least a week before your due date. The earlier the better. Me, I like to pay once I get my bill. If I don't have the account on auto pay, I'm paying whenever I get that bill, because with me, I have a subconscious thing in my mind where I don't like to owe people. So I'm gonna pay whenever I get my bill. So you want to give yourself that room and that space, and you don't want to wait to a couple of days or the day of your due date to make your payment, because as I always tell people, what if you forget, or what if an emergency happens or something happens and you can't make the payment? So you always want to give yourself that breathing room. So some things that you want to remember, just to recap. Number one, credit limits are not your money. Just remember that. It's very important you remember that your credit limit is not your money. Number two, pay back whatever you spend. So if you go out and you spend $2,000, you need to pay back that $2,000 in full. This is very important because what it does is it helps you avoid credit card debt, and it can do positive things for your credit score. So keep that in mind. Pay off whatever you spend. That's another rule. And number three, your utilization. Make sure you watch your utilization. Keep your utilization under 10%. If you do these three things, you should have a pretty good chance of managing your credit cards correctly and not getting credit card debt. And it also will more than likely reflect on your credit score in a positive way, because that's what this is all about, making sure that your credit score is in a nice and healthy spot. I believe we are here to get good or excellent credit, and that's what journey we are on. You might as well put in the work and know how to manage your credit cards correctly. So if you are new to credit cards, try to follow these steps, try to implement them. Of course, it takes building up a habit, but once you get the hang of it, you'll pretty much be on your way to avoiding credit card debt. But you have to discipline yourself. Follow these three things, all right? But anyways, this is Water Your Soil. I have other videos on credit cards. I have videos on utilization if you want to check those out. Be sure to check out my video section on this Water Your Soil channel. It's called Credit Card Advice for Beginners. That's very important, especially if you are a beginner, because I have multiple videos under that playlist that you can check out and can help you. But anyways, this is Water Your Soil. I thank you all for watching. Be sure to hit the like button on the way out if this video has helped you in any kind of way. Also, if you're not a subscriber, you've been here multiple times, be sure to hit the subscribe button, all right? I appreciate you all for watching, and I'm out. Wait. Before you leave, be sure to check out the description box below. That way you can have all the credit resources from Water Your Soil. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button as well, all right?